Welcome to another episode of the Safeties Off Show presented by Kepler Creek Outdoors. Today's an incredible episode. We talk to Nathan from HuntWise. We talk about the app. We talk about hunting. We talk about a ton of stuff. But before we do get to that, let's talk about our sponsors. Our first sponsor is Dirty Duck Coffee. And if you're watching us on YouTube, you can check out this sweet cup I got this past weekend from those guys, this hat, and the one that Jacob's got on. Sweet little Army camo, is it?
OCP. I mean, we call it OCP.
Oh, OCP. Yeah, okay. Cool guy. Cool guy, service guy. Anyways, use code KCO15 at checkout. Dirty Duck Coffee Company. They got some sweet apparel. They got some even better coffee. So hit those guys up. Check that out today. They'll be on the pod soon. Excited about that.
Yep.
Levi and one of the owners, Buck. Just super cool, down-to-earth dudes that I'm fired up about being in business with. I'm fired up about that. So our next sponsor is the Dino Climbing Company. And so you're probably thinking, what the heck? Why are the Kepler Creek Outdoors guys sponsored by a Dino Climbing Company?
Because obviously I'm not climbing nothing.
Yeah, Jacob's not climbing anything. It's 6'5".
I don't need to get any taller.
Yeah, you don't need to get any taller or any higher. So, Jacob, you want to tell us about Dino Climbing Company real quick?
It's not just a climbing pre-workout. It's a pre-adventure supplement.
Okay, that makes it way cooler.
That is way cooler.
It makes it way cooler.
So it comes in 2 flavors right now. They got pina colada and what's the other one?
I got some pina colada on the way.
They got Bigfoot berry and pina colada.
I got pina colada on the way. I'm fired up about it. I'm going to take it. I'm a teacher and a coach, so I'm going to take it in the afternoons instead of an energy drink. Because it's supposed to get your brain going too, and I need all the help I can get. I'm already fired up. So hit those guys up. Check them out on Instagram, Dino Climbing Company.
Or you can order from their website, which is thedinocompany.com. That's the DYNO company.com.
And then our last presenting sponsor of the day is going to be the one the episode's about, HuntWise. Guys, just to get my little 20-second spill on HuntWise, on the outside, you may think it's just a hunting app that shows you maps. It's way more, and we're going to get into that in the episode. But if you want to try it out, download it. It's free for a while. You can start a trial, but when you do have to pay for it, make sure you type in the code KCO20. It's for Kepler Creek Outdoors, KCO20 to get 20% off. So, yeah, let's get after it. Bro, I almost caught that one.
You got that heater on full blast. You got all the windows down, and you're such a
we appreciate you coming on, man. Just a small podcast like this, and appreciate you giving us the opportunity to use the app this year.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. I'm excited to see what you guys think and put it through the ringer.
I was genuinely kind of pissed off at the whole hunting community when I found out about HuntWise. I didn't know about it until this year.
Hey, some secrets come now, some secrets come later, and I
guess
it's Christmas in July.
Yeah, I used a competitor, and I think me and you talked about this. I teach hunter's ed, and so I like to use this your app now, just to kind of show here's some WMAs and this the topography. We kind of talk about that, and just, it may be a good spot to hunt this, or what species may be here, yada yada yada. So now I can use this for teaching purposes. But
That's
for those
awesome.
that for people that are listening and don't know about HuntWise on the very base part of it is a map that tells you who owns what land. That's the basic part. But the part that blows my pea brain is
not hard.
It's not hard, but is the deer cast. So will you kind of explain that to me and to everybody?
Yeah. So I guess initially it's HuntWise started in the basement of our founder. He worked full time. He had family. He had a full-time job, and really he's trying to optimize his time. When should I go hunting? I have limited bandwidth. I only have a certain amount of PTO I can get off. His buddies had been pestering him because he went to school for computer science. Hey man, you should come up with something that'll help us figure out when we should go hunting. And it's all right, let me put something together. So he spends his nights and weekends, stuff like that. And initially came out for like this. It was initially called Sportsman Tracker. Was the name of the app originally, and it was he put that out in the market. Like this is back in the time when you could sort of create an app, throw in the app store, and just see what happens.
Just
Like
do
it
whatever you
wasn't
want.
as
This is the
yeah,
wild west
exactly,
of apphood.
exactly. And he had like a few 100,000 downloads in like a short period of time. It's like I think I might have something here. So he started like building out more. He started doing some like idea pitch competitions. Just like went around sort of trying to raise some money and some capital, and yeah, started building a team together. And I think it was back in 2015 we actually sort of rebranded because we had initially like a hunt and a fish, but it was all combined sportsman tracker. And just to serve the two different kind of demographics, we realized that, hey, we really need to sort of focus on one or the other. It's two separate use cases in some ways. Some overlap, but two really specific things we wanted to focus on. So that's where HuntWise came from. And in that same time period, we realized, hey, we need to provide sort of weather and mapping together because those two sort of can speak to each other.
Right.
And that's where it's like, hey, there's some great people out there who started everything almost like on X with mapping and stuff like that. They did great to help people find public land, but we're a lot more east of the Mississippi, like whitetail based. We're based out, like I said, out of Grand Rapids, Michigan, and we really wanted to do something that really helped whitetail hunters. Initially, it was just like, hey, you can put a pin down, you can see what wind direction, you can preset that for your stand. That way, it sort of helps take out that guesswork of, hey, how will the wind change based on the next forecast or how many hours, and how's the wind shift, how will this affect my sit. So that's sort of where like that HuntCast kind of version that you were talking about, the weather side, really came into more of the forefront of what we started doing. We started doing like the mapping is definitely helpful for where can I go hunting with the public land, landowner information, landowner phone numbers if they're publicly available. What we also want is other component of like helping people optimize their time of like when should I go hunting, because that's the biggest question. If you have like X amount of PTO days, you have family, you have kids, you have
Right.
XYZ going on, not many of us, including ourselves, get to have just unlimited time to be in the field and hunt. That'd be the dream, but
Yeah, no kidding.
we still have to figure everything else out. So yeah, it's really to help people optimize their time, figure out where to go hunting and when to go hunting. And about 3 years ago now, we met up with a gentleman named Jeff Sturgis. He does like a whitetail habitat solutions. Like he's big into land management, also just has like decades of just like information of like deer movement. And so we teamed up with him and sort of built this HuntCast out to basically get really dialed in on like peak, buck movement. Does, fawns, typically they'll go on the normal kind of pattern of feeding, bedding, etc. But we really are trying to make something even more dialed in for, bucks and how mature deer move and stuff like that. So yeah.
So with the deer movement and whatnot, obviously that varies from state to state. Like we're in Louisiana. So even in Louisiana, you see these graphs every year. I have no idea how accurate they are, but like when the rut starts and stuff like that, like peak movement. So how are you guys how are y'all pinpointing here, like the parishes or the rest of the United States counties? How are y'all able to pinpoint that?
So we use a lot of like state data. We use a lot of the estrus cycle of deer.
Okay.
So obviously there's a certain breeding time period, and then how they track when deer are born. There's also some really cool data points you can pull from other, I guess, the non-hunting or non-government agencies, like almost like even, accident reports of like, hey, if there's peak deer accident reports, there's sometimes where there's movement coming through. So there's a lot of different ways you can pull in information that really speak to like, hey, this is the next cycle of the rut. It's a pre-rut, the rut, there might be a second, third. I know like where you guys are in Florida, like it's a Wild West. It's still something my Midwest brain doesn't fully comprehend of like there can be multiple ruts that just go on and on kind of thing. It's definitely interesting.
That's interesting to me that the data. I'm a big data guy. Like I got to have some kind of evidence to point me in the right direction. Like I want to get all the information and stuff, and to know that it's not just that y'all are grabbing all the data you can get and trying to like come up with a good solution and a good hypothesis, I guess.
Okay, with the big word.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
I'm from Michigan. Didn't go to Michigan, but I'm
Air
from
Force guy.
I'm very smart.
So his mom says.
I got a public education.
Yes.
There we go.
I mean, that does make sense though to pull like. I never in a billion years would have thought you were going to tell me like car accident reports.
That makes sense, though.
But it makes it makes a ton of sense. Like you see deer that are nocturnal on the road. Well, hey, look, your peak movement is at this time. You know.
Yeah, there's some interesting things too. Just like, there's been a lot of research over the decades, and thankfully, there's the people who sort of paved the way and like knowing that this information is important just to maintain deer populations, maintain everything with like, state regulations, working with the DNR, that it's very important to figure out exactly like what's the population like, how can make sure it's a healthy population. And thankfully there's a lot of time and effort resources that go into managing that we can pull in that. So yeah, it's been great.
So you guys kind of work hand in hand with every state's biology department. Biology.
Yeah, we do our best. We have a lot of great state relations. It's amazing to me, just like in this space specifically, like how tight relationships are. Like, I think we're such a community focused kind of space, and just like pulling those connections, and it just creates better for the community. If like, everyone understands there's an end goal. We all we can have different jobs, different backgrounds, different XYZ, but we all have this one single kind of like passion that we all share that makes, whether sharing information or working towards a greater cause per se, that makes it relatively easy to find this information, or once you have those relationships sort of developed and going forward. So yeah,
that's good. One thing. You say relationships in this community, like the hunting community. We've been on Instagram forever, and we decided to do this podcast and just like, hey, let's just use our Instagram. Let's see who will come on and talk about deer hunting or duck hunting or outdoors or whatever. And like, there's been very few people that have been like, nah, can't do. Like, actually, there's been no one that has just flat out told me no. There's been people that just like my message, and I'm like, all right, I get it. You don't have time for it right now. That's fine. But there's people like you and from other other areas in hunting, like they're more than willing to talk about it or whatever. Yeah. And I think things like the HuntWise app, and I teach, so seeing these kids, and I unfortunately teach middle school. Don't fire me, my boss. But, middle school kids are so technology based. And so they want to sit in the classroom or sit at home like I do. I mean, as a 30-year-old dude, like I kind of want to e-scout. Like I do that all the time now. I've got 10 minutes. I'm just looking around this land, or, just see what water's around me or whatever. So I think you're kind of playing into the future of the outdoors.
Right.
Yeah, and that's a big thing too that we're really focused on. Is like, this next generation of like hunters, and like you start to meet them where they're at. You can't sort of demand them to adapt to how things have been historically. There's some core things that have to stay foundational, but things like this that we think there's a great opportunity to meet people where they're at, from wherever kind of background or interest level, that hopefully we're providing something of value that they can sort of gravitate towards and find useful, and hopefully help them be successful.
Yeah, I think when I show the kids this and I show them the deer cast and stuff, they're going to be fired up.
Well, I think it takes a lot of like being able to e-scout,
Yeah, e-scout's huge.
If you're hunting out of state, like we'll go up to Kansas or Arkansas or whatever, we don't really have, talking about we don't have a lot of time off.
Yeah.
You can't burn a day the first couple of days. I mean,
just looking around,
and if you could take some of that guesswork out, on the public land side, and kind of see the layout of the land from and they're very updated satellite images.
Right.
Like there's stuff on there. I was like, how's that even on there? But but also with what I think is cool about the app is you coming in for the app, the maps probably, right? But then you stay in for the hunt cast
and the gear and the percentage off all the gear and stuff, which is absolutely nuts. Like there's different aspects of it. I mean, you guys you're killing it. Like you've got different aspects within a map app. Like, if it's a map app, it's boring. Let's just be honest. If it's a map app, it's kind of boring. Like you're like, all right, it's a sweet map. It's cool. But like, I'm going to stay on the app more. I'm going to see, oh, look, I can get 10%, 30% off this, or I might look at the HuntCast and look at all my different stands around. Check that out. So, okay. Back to HuntCast real quick. I told Jacob I wanted to say this before. So I feel like, and I wanted to get your opinion on it. Are you married first off?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is great. It's going to hit right in your wheelhouse here. I feel like the HuntCast is like a superpower, and if it gets in the wrong hands, it's gonna be miserable. Like if my wife finds out about the Huntcast and she's like, "Hey, it's a 20% chance today you're coming with me, and the kid, and we're going to do this. Like we're going to look at Christmas lights.
Chances are good today.
Yeah, chances are looking good today. Like,
but on the flip side, hey, if it's a 4 or 5 deer day, it's like, babe, I gotta go. Like
that's true.
things are perfect.
Go to the in-laws.
That's true.
It's like, and the thing is too, like, we try to do like up to like a 14-day forecast, and obviously weather can change a little bit, but if you can give as much heads up, it's like, beyond 7 days, like 10 days out, whatever. Okay, this day's looking good. Like the one thing too, I don't know if we talked about this, but you can create a hunt area or a property, and you can actually set an alert for that property. So like a push notification. So it's like, hey, I only want to be notified when there's like an 80% chance of being a good day of buck movement. So you set that up, and then time passes by. You can set the dates that you want to be notified, and then bing, get notification, check your phone. It's like, oh yeah, this shoot, I got one right now actually. Can't really see it, but
sick.
yeah, 10 minutes ago. Looks like now obviously I have this set for a different species and stuff like that, but you get pinged. It's like, all right, I know this is on the horizon. Let me set the expectations with the wife and say, hey, next week Thursday, is it cool with you? Like, I'm giving you a heads up, so it's not last minute. I'm just trying to make sure communication's clear, expectations are set, that this day I would really, really like the green light to go out. Other days doesn't look good. I'll be able to hang out, whatever, XYZ, but
that's a fantastic sales pitch, Nathan. That was a great comeback. I was not expecting that. Like my counter, I was going to say maybe on Fridays, y'all could always just set Saturday mornings as a good day so that every guy would have the excuse to go to the deer camp.
Yeah, exactly. It's another 5-deer day. Gotta go.
Yeah. Oh, babe, I don't know what keeps happening. Every Saturday morning is a 5-deer morning. I gotta go.
Did you see anything? No.
Yeah.
It's 30 miles an hour winds. Yeah, I know, it's crazy, right?
Yeah,
must be pushing something.
It's crazy, man. These HuntWise guys,
but it's in my face.
Yeah,
wind's in my face. It's good.
And I'm just gonna tell her science.
I used the app. Actually, when I was in Michigan a couple days ago, we fished the river, and it's just kind of a weird thing, but like I'm always interested in who owns land.
Oh, you were looking
100%.
to steal from. That's what he was doing, thief.
But like we were cruising the river, and I haven't been there. I haven't lived there in 13 years, so we're cruising the river, and I'm like, who owns that house now? And I'm like, oh, I got an app. Let me check it out. Oh, Jimmy Angus owns that now. It was kind of interesting just to be able to use that quickly to see who owns a property. And I think that going back to that Kansas thing, going to Kansas, you don't have a lot of time to go knocking on doors. So if you can get a hold of it early.
One of the best tips that I've sort of started using this for, and it's a secret I probably shouldn't say, but I use Zillow and I use HuntWise together. I'll look for properties that are just only lots of land, certain acreage. We can go like 25 or 50 acres or above. I know that these people are trying to sell the land, so they either are trying to move it or they don't really care. You see if you can get a hold of them, use HuntWise, see who owns it, give them a call and say, hey, can I have permission on this chunk of land? Like, obviously you're trying to sell it. I might be interested, or I might know someone. Like, it's just like one of those things, like, that their hesitancy goes way down because they're trying to sell it. They don't care as much.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
what a cheat code.
Yeah,
that makes a whole lot of sense.
What a cheat code.
So even if you're looking for there's public, but there's pieces of private near public or XYZ, and you see it's for sale on Zillow, it's like, ooh, let me see who owns that, see if I can contact with them, give them a call, XYZ, or even go through Zillow sometimes too. Like, hey, talk to the agent. Hey, I'm trying to see if I can get a hold of the landlord because I'm interested not to buy it, but maybe to hunt it. Do you think that'd be okay? And agents, so that they want any kind of lead that they can get. Like, oh, maybe potential.
Right.
So that's a little secret nugget out there. I'll toss that out there. So.
That was free. That was free to the.
That one's a free one.
Yeah, free pro tip. Yeah, free pro tip.
So I before the app and before these kind of apps started coming out, my thing was I would go on like the county or the parish tax assessor, and you could type in the address. It would pop up the owner or whatever. But the problem with with land is there's really not an address a lot of the time. So you're like trying to put in a lot number and that's impossible.
Well, what's
You're never
sweet
gonna
about
find
the
that.
HuntWise app is that, let's say you did have an address and you thought it was like just on a road. You can type in, correct me if I'm wrong, Nathan, you can type in the address and it will bring you straight to it. Correct. There's two ways to search it. How is the address?
Yeah, we have address or landowner name. So it's served for both kinds of situations. If you know of like, no, John, I know John Smith is a bad example because there'd be a bunch, but if you even type in like, name and try to get closer to like, we have to try to search from your geographic location from like who's closer and then spreads it out farther. But yeah, address and landowner name are two options to find parcels and properties like that. Yep.
So, and he said the word species, and it made me think about this. I forgot. You guys have waterfowl, turkeys. Like, there's a tons of species that you can get. It's not only like deer cast, So
yeah,
what's going on with the waterfowl? Because I know waterfowl's super hard to track.
It is.
At least.
It is, and I think that's where I think our focus has always been whitetail, but as we're getting that more and more dialed in with our hunt cast and working with Jeff, is like, man, can we find a Jeff Sturgis, a waterfowl, someone who knows East Coast, West Coast, the central flyways, like know the migration patterns. And that's the thing with the app too. It's like I've had buddies in Montana, and who guide or just like when the snowies come up, they're like they use our app to call farmers. Say, hey, you see that there's a bunch coming in, and the farmer's like, green lights go, kill them all. Like they don't want them.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's like you can usually, because like that's the thing with hunting, like for whitetail, it's like there's sort of limitations of their bandwidth, but the migration patterns also will change from time to time, where it's like you can't just have a single property because if their migrations changes a little bit, like it might be a no-go. So you always have to probably be a little bit more mobile when it comes to waterfowl, and that's something that's been
100%.
really interesting for us. Like but then like figuring out where's the flyways, how's it changing, how can we get that data source coming in for that specific one? Because like you said, it's a little bit trickier to manage, but I think we're going to have some relationships in that space that we're looking at, trying to build that out a little bit more for the future. Jeff and our product lead Andy, they're both big into waterfowl, so we definitely have a voice of waterfowl in the office, trying to sneak in some ways on how we can make it better and better for that. So yeah, we'll see here soon.
So one thing I think of is obviously they ban ducks. Like I killed a duck here in North Louisiana that was banded in Sparta, Ontario, Canada. And so
that's wild.
Yeah, it is wild. And it was my second duck of all time, which pisses everyone off when I tell that part of the story. Some people hunt down here their entire life, and they're like, I've never even been on a hunt when a band was killed. So it's just wild. But you may or may not have thought about this, but like, do y'all think that that'll ever be something within HuntWise that you like ban, ducks, or you put a radio transmitter on a deer or a duck, or?
Well, I think on the flip side, I think if just as if you shoot a bandit, you report it, and so it gives the information back to the state. But maybe even adding ways within the app that we work with a state agency that it's easy, just like pull up like, hey, a report, type in what you shot, where you were, what the tag was, take a picture and submit it. That way it's probably a better digital flow. Probably easier for people to submit that information. Because states want everyone to do it, but sometimes people don't do it, unfortunately. But
I have to look it up. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I would say just make it easier for people to do that, and that where like we'll be able to source some of that data from as people shoot and register, banded birds and stuff like that. That's information we can help, and helps us get better, helps the states get better, and yeah.
Right. Yeah, it would help the entire nation. Because I'm pretty sure. It would have to. The bird I killed would have to have been a federally banned bird. A federal ban, because there are organizations here like in Louisiana, like LSU, Louisiana State University's like just ag department will put bans on them. And if you kill one of those, like, it's cool, but it's not as cool as like, no offense, mine.
Yeah, because we had two buddies shoot ones that were banded by LSU Shreveport. And they shot them both within 2 miles.
Yeah.
within 2 miles of where they were banded at.
Yeah, so it's like super local birds. But what I was thinking of is like, how cool would that be? Is it if y'all like, you got with like just what you said basically is like you get with LSU Ag, you get with Mississippi State Ag. I know they have a big ag department, and you get with these people, and you're like, look, we don't want any money. We just want you to. We want the kids or the people to be able to log their bands into here, because I mean, as well as I do, like my generation doesn't want to call and talk to anybody. We don't want to do all that stuff. Like even when we go in the WMA now, finally in Louisiana, I just have an app. I check in, check out. I killed nothing is what I usually do, and check out. So that would be way easier.
Yeah, I think again, the whole mindset is like, hey, how can we keep on lowering barriers of entry for either good data or success in the field? So 100% something like that. I was working with like Delta or DU or something. I don't know if there's organizations like that makes sense, but yeah, totally agree with you.
So I heard you answer this, but I want you to tell everybody how is, because this blew my mind. I don't know if you listened deep enough into the podcast that he was on. How many people are on your app?
On the app, I think we had about I'm trying to think of last year's data that we got. It's like about 1.4 million active users.
That blows, and not a one wanted to mention it to me. Not one person wanted to mention it to me, which is absolutely nuts.
That's
so
wild.
A better social circle.
Yeah, no kidding. Like guys like him, like come on, man, do a little research. Look what else is out there. I've used a competing brand for a few years now, and I thought it was the only one. I know of one more because I've just kind of stumbled upon it on a podcast, and then you guys popped up. I can't remember how, somewhere on Instagram, and I just downloaded. I was like, oh, this is cool, and you guys have all these other crazy features that other people don't have. But so within those 1.4 million, are you able to track? Saying the words track their data sounds terrible.
Collect.
Are you able to collect some data and figure out some things just from the average user?
Generally, but I think the one thing we want to do is get better data.
Yeah.
I think we want to make like a two-way kind of conversation of like to ask questions and get responses back, or it's more just of just like figuring out what we think people are doing. Just ask. So I think that's going to be one thing you'll probably see, that we'll probably figure out ways to communicate within the app to our users in a better way, and like ask questions that they are interested in versus like, okay, we think they might want to know this, or let's make this change because we think they want to do this based on their actions. Well, there might be other reasons they're doing certain things in the app that we might not be taking in consideration. So I think for us, we always want to be better at communicating with our users. So I think creating that messaging where we can, whether it's a push notification or some sort of modal that pops up, say, hey, XYZ kind of, how's, Huntcast working for you? Did you see anything? Did you not?
Right.
The one thing that we're interested in, like harvest report, like it doesn't necessarily show like, oh, someone else is going to come to where you got a deer. It's like, hey, this state, this is deer, this is my county. That information won't just be helpful for everyone HuntWise, but we probably will be able to make HuntCast even more accurate for your specific geographic location. The more data we can get in, we need to deliver a better result for you guys. Right. So if there's like ways that you're putting a two-way street of communication where you're inputting data, where it's like, hey, shot this, harvested this is time, this is my county, that helps us on the back end. Okay, we're 80% there. How do we get that next 20% of being on the money? No, 100% of the time. No, I know 100% is hard, but how can we strive for that? So
I know one thing that I've done in the past is try to log, saw 2 does in this stand. The weather was like, the weather was overcast, high of 40. Stuff.
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
like
doing that before, so I can try to better figure out how the movement it is on the property.
100%. No, I think I'm trying to look for this journal, but it's like, a lot of hunters, old school, new school, they all write down, whether it's on a piece of paper or on their phone. We're always trying to be better and like understand the why. Like there's so many different X factors to it. Like we can only be as good as we can be, but there's X factors we can't account for. Like if the farmer has cut the field, and all of a sudden you don't see any deer, we can't, and then we think it's a 5 deer day just based on the weather, but you don't see anything. Like, oh, HuntWise was off. But we're not there on boots on the ground knowing that, hey, if farmer cut the field, all those deer that probably were are actually in that field, eating now, just because there's that food source that's more available to them. Or on the flip side, and this is something we're trying to start doing more. It's like, especially if like gun season, just like Midwest, we have the orange armies that come out, and that will just make the deer go crazy. Like all that pressure in the woods. And for us, like, we're trying to figure out how can we account for that, because we think it's a great day, but it's 3rd day, 4th day into gun season. There should be some sort of X factor in there that takes account to saying there's probably a lot of pressure in the woods, especially if you're in public. Now, maybe if you're on private and you leave a spot alone all archery season and you haven't really messed around in there, and like you're waiting for all your neighbors to basically drive deer into your hardwoods and they feel safe there. There's different X factors where you might see a ton of deer, and we say it's a 2 deer day, but taking account to that, firearm season is driving people into your property. There's different things that we have to take account for that I think we're aware of, and we're trying to figure out how we can make that in the app better. And having the harvest data report information, we can tell based on the season, okay, is during gun season, is during archery season, there's things that we can pull in to help account for some of those X factors. Now, again, like figuring out if people can say, yeah, my neighbor's cutting corn or with XYZ. Okay, that's an X factor that we can put into the app potentially.
That changes the movement a lot.
Yeah. And there's no, obviously, like you're saying, there's no way you'll ever know everything. But like on a 5 deer day, I'm going this year.
Oh, 100%.
Like I'm gonna take off work. I'm gonna take a sick day. Don't listen to that, boss. I'll bleep that out later on. I'm for sure doing that. Do you think, because Nathan, like I said, I'd listened to some podcasts that you were on before, and I know that you grew up hunting, and obviously you didn't have the app.
Yeah.
And now then you came to HuntWise. I think maybe once it was kind of developed, but
I
just speak on how the app, just changed hunting for you a little bit.
Yeah, and so my background, I was born in Korea. I was adopted when I was 6 months old, and I was fortunate enough to be adopted into a family that hunted. So my dad took me and brother out. His dad hunted, his brother hunted. So it was one of those things we just did. You just went out. He would bring us out there, just to experience it. We have a deer camp in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And it's one of those things like, yeah, this is how we live life. And then through high school, college, I had a lot of friends. I didn't have friends that hunted. So I was like, all right, I'm not into this as much because I'm more focused on my social.
Right.
I think of age, and then
as everyone.
yeah, exactly. So I fell out of hunting. Then just as my journey progressed, blah blah blah, I got connected with HuntWise. I was like, man, this is cool. I get to sort of get back into this community that I knew of, was part of, but getting back into has been awesome. And working for HuntWise and having the app has really helped me gain a whole new understanding to deer that I never would have probably gotten from my dad, just because there's so many different, levels of ability to transfer that knowledge down. So yeah, it's been pretty impactful, reigniting this passion, and it's been such a great experience of being a participant, but also hopefully helping develop it into a positive space. So yeah, it's been awesome. It's been awesome.
I'm looking forward to using it. Again, it has changed. It's changed a lot for me. Really, my time in the bathroom has changed a lot. It's not TikTok now. I'm just constantly on this app. My wife's gonna hate that I said that, but it is true. She's so mad. She wants me to help with the baby. I'm like, in a second.
I gotta use the bathroom.
Yeah, I gotta use the bathroom.
She starts putting you on fiber pills or something else like that to make things move a little faster. It's like,
that's like 3 cheat codes you giving me, Nathan.
Yeah, there we go, man. Dude, life lessons right there, man.
Yeah, and you're like, you want to see if I'm lying? Go in the bathroom.
Yeah.
That's terrible. That's terrible. She's gonna hate that part. I'm leaving this all in, by the way.
Love it.
But anyways, Nathan, man, I'm super appreciative of you coming on, man, and kind of teaching us, because I'm new to it. I play on it, like I said, a lot. Jacob has this past week. We may have to hit you up with some questions and whatnot, but we're going to try to learn and produce some content for you guys. Somehow, maybe some how-to reels and whatnot.
100%.
And show how we're going to use it, because it's something that, like I said before, me and Nathan talked, before I even hit him up for an email, I used the app to see if I even liked it. And we used it on a scouting trip, and I was like, I'm going to hit him up. I'm going to see, if I can use this for Hunter's Ed, because it's a legitimate good tool. I would use it if he wasn't on board with us, regardless. If we didn't have
it takes a lot out of it. Takes a lot of the legwork out of it.
Absolutely.
That you don't have to do. That you don't have to wait till you get out there to do. You can see some of the topography. You can see the water that runs through it, and kind of get a game plan to get in there, because a lot of times when we go to scout, we don't really know what we're looking at.
Yeah, 100%.
Until we get there, and then we start. We waste 2 or 3 hours wandering around in the woods.
Yeah.
And then go, oh, there's a creek right here. That if we'd have just looked, we just looked at an updated map.
Yeah, correct.
Because a lot of times you look at Google, and it's a picture from 2012.
Yeah.
Well, none of those trees are even there anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Last question. Yeah, Nathan, because I know we've had you on for 30 minutes, and it's
you're good.
But how do you have updated satellite pictures than like other apps?
We have our sources.
Gosh dang it. I was about to get a fourth cheat code. Yeah, I was about to get a fourth cheat code.
Yeah, because it is very updated.
Yeah, I think, that's the one thing we really are focused on. And the country as a whole, this is just for satellite mapping in general, that is a little tricky, because, we don't have our own satellite. We wish we did.
Right.
I know some people say they have planes or what's the other term? I don't know. But there are organizations that own satellites strictly for mapping. They're the ones that provide mapping for the companies like giant real estate companies, Uber, and all these things that need to have high quality mapping. But those are focused on metropolitan areas.
Right.
And we're trying to find sources that are doing where we hunt, like the rural areas that aren't in the city limits. And even with that, there are cases where the satellites are on a grid. You can't move a satellite with there's not some guy sitting in a room with a joystick moving the satellite around
although that's what I believe.
Tetris. I wish we had one. That'd be out. That'd be what I'd be doing right now. But they're on a grid pattern, and whether it's once a year covers the country, and until next year comes back again. But there's some companies that have resources where they're either be able to tap into other satellites that just happen to be over the country more often, and are covering areas that other satellites aren't covering. So there are providers out there that we use that are really focused on getting that best quality imagery as up to date as possible, until whether it's the next year or next 6 months that they can get another satellite to cover that same area. One thing I know I would love to do is to find satellites that purely go over parts of the country or the whole country when it's wintertime, when there's no tree cover. I know that's one question we get all the time. Can we get just only winter? Again, we can't control when the satellite goes over. If it's springtime, summer, winter, or the fall. But it's one of those things, there's more and more people are interested in satellite imagery in other industries, other spaces. And we're just trying to figure out how we can tap into that more and more and get better quality and different season of quality to make it a better experience. Because we know, you can't always have boots on the ground, so we can help people optimize their time and find those land features that they're looking for sooner. Second thing too, I just want to bounce off that. You guys know what you guys are looking for, but I think there's so many other people that it'd be sweet to figure out how can we educate people on land terrain even more within the app. There's tons of questions from new hunters, if they don't understand ridges or how thermals work.
Right.
What's the importance of having a giant creek running up and down? Will I carry my scent up or carry it down? There's so many different X factors or just pieces of knowledge that it's hard to put into the app in 5 seconds. But I think that's something we're really interested in figuring out how we can help people learn as soon as possible.
Like a quick tips,
it's a how-to hunt.
Yeah.
101.
Like when you're playing a video game and it's press X to this.
Yeah, 100%.
But if living in the world 2050 now, but what if the map came up and it was this is probably the best place you want to hunt right here, and you're how do you even know that?
Yeah.
Just based off
Yeah.
the topography and all that stuff. That'd be really cool. Where you could just pull it up and it just no. You probably want to put your stand here on this facing day and all that.
Yeah.
But that's probably a lot of data you got to collect.
Yeah.
Well, we always joke that we always position HuntWise as like we're a tool, but almost like a shovel. It's only good for when you're digging a hole. But I think the thing we're trying to get into the next phase, I think that we're going to be focused on is like how can be like the guide in your pocket,
Right.
not necessarily like you need us because there's some experience that you already have underneath your tool belt that you already have from previous hunts, but how can we support those, and verify or validate those things you already know and say, yeah, you are right, this is what you should be doing. But then also for the new hunters, like almost like you're not going out with a father figure or a parent figure or something like that who's
Right.
teaching them the wrong way. How can we eliminate that, or how can we lower that barrier of entry of just that knowledge barrier for so many people? If they don't have someone like you teaching them in a class, like it's hard. It is hard to like, get into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's good stuff.
Yeah,
because I gave me the heebie-jeebies. I think it made my hair stand up a little bit. It got me fired up. That was good stuff.
Yeah, man.
Because when you're getting into it and you don't have nobody, like you don't know.
Well, that too, in the hunting industry is kind of it's intimidating.
It's intimidating from the outside.
Correct.
To get in,
Correct.
to kind of get in there. But once you're in there, you realize.
Correct.
Like I'm sure you guys know this with like the wildlife biologists and stuff. If you just called the wildlife substation or whatever in this part of this state, they'll talk to you for 30 minutes. Maybe it's because they're up there by themselves and they have nothing else to do.
They're literally biologists.
But they are very willing to just give you all the information they have. And that's their passion. They want that information to be out.
And they want to share it along.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, that's a great idea. I'm just like, I thought, like, man, we should have those phone numbers just to call your landowners. Like, hey, there's the local,
like a directory
number. Yeah, directory. Just, hey, these are people we should call. This is your first, if you're scouting, going to hunting out state. Call this number first if you're hunting this county. Just get the lowdown from someone who has boots on the ground. Now I know I'm sort of going on a little bit more, but I think it's something important that I know there's not old school hunters, but there's people in the space that think, you need to learn through the hard knocks.
Right.
Like, I get that, paying your dues, whatever, but there's something where it's like, if you really, really want to keep hunting going and not lose that, you need to grow it. Like if it's a dying space, there's less, push to get legislation, XYZ push to keep habitat, keep land management. And that way, we need more people in the space to keep the momentum going where we can keep on doing this for multiple generations.
I 100% agree because, there's, I don't know the numbers. I would have known had I not needed them, but there's not that many hunters out there. There's really not there's more hunters than there are people against hunting. But then there's a lot of people in the middle that are pretty lukewarm and they just don't hunt. Maybe they just don't hunt. Maybe they just do what they do. But then like I've got some buddies that I take on a squirrel hunt every year and I don't even bring a gun. I just go and I watch them and like they're grown men and they learn, and it's just fun. It's just fun to kind of share your knowledge and just have another hunter and like just encourage another outdoorsman. And so if you could have an app, like what you're saying, and like obviously if they just told me where to throw my stand up, that'd be sick. But if it could give you some quick how-tos, that's why we do a YouTube channel. That's why we do tips. That's why we do this. That's why we do that. It's not because we've made tens of dollars doing this. Believe it or not, we're not we're not podcasters full time, but we do it really just because we love to share,
right?
And I love talking about our mistakes more than anything.
100%.
Not everybody needs to lose their gun, or drop a gun in the water. Not everybody needs to fall out of a deer stand. Like that can be prevented if you just follow Kepler Creek Outdoors.
Love it. Yeah, totally agree. I think here's a stat that I think out of roughly 500,000 new hunters do a hunter certification every year. I think about 28 to 30% of those people never buy a license.
Really?
Yeah, it's stupid high. And we're trying to figure out why is that? Is it
Yeah.
they don't have a place to hunt? They don't have someone to take them hunting, or there's so many different questions out there that we're trying to figure out why that is.
That pisses me off because I just spent like an hour putting in 40 names that I just taught my class, and everybody's good or whatever, so I had to put everybody's name,
And only
everybody's
30
address.
of them are going to buy a
Yeah,
license.
and only like 10 of them are ever going to buy a license, or go hunting. Wish they could have just told me that.
I bet it has a lot to do with, land availability or the intimidation of trying to get in on public land. To somebody new to it, it can be pretty intimidating.
Yeah, 100%.
Like because you just you had this vision in your head of, there's going to be a 1,000 people out there, and these people have probably been there forever, and they know all the good spots, or I don't really want to intrude on somebody else's spot.
Well, what everybody envisions is that viral video that went out a couple years ago in Arkansas. Like every duck hunter thinks of that.
Oh yeah,
where there's like boats banging into one another, everybody's getting ran over and this and that. That's the wildest. I've never been a part of something. I've been part of something that was close to that, but not exactly like that. In years past, and they got a hold on that. They got a control on that. But I think you're right. I think you're right.
I think that they're looking for a spot to go hunt. Private land. Whether they can get permission or something like that. But I think that they're a little intimidated at the public land portion of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think if you're a parent and your 14-year-old son or daughter wants to go hunting, you're out, and you're as a parent, let's say you never hunted before, you have low interest to it. It's different from like, all right, I'm gonna wake up Saturday morning going to the soccer game.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But it's like, the idea for a parent to send or to drive their child to a piece of public land where there's a bunch of vehicles, there's guys with guns.
You don't know.
It's like, I don't know these people. There's guns. Like, I don't know if I like this.
Right.
So, but I think the main way to solve it is figuring out how you get that peer-to-peer kind of connection or like that mentorship, which is a tough nut to crack to figure that out. Like, how do you get people to take other people out? But I think as more and more people talk about it, as I think more people get joy, like you said about squirrel hunting, taking someone new out. It's like having your own kid hunt for the first time. It's like, it's just like, you're not going to be pulling the trigger. You want your kid to pull the trigger,
right?
Yeah.
Or fling the arrow, whatever it may be. But it gives you a whole new perspective to the sport, to the community. And I think that's where it's like, we get more people to take new people out, that's great. That's how we keep things going. And that's how you get that 30% drop off to like 15 to 10. Things like that. Things like what you guys are doing, though, that has a huge impact on it. It's like talking about it and taking people out. That's huge. What you guys are doing.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it. A lot of times we think about it and we don't think we're really making that big of an impact. But if one person,
100%,
I'm fired up right now.
I'm fired up. Yeah. Here's what I think. It's like like we talk about it all the time, Nathan. Like, just being 100% honest, man. I have some family land, and like I have like 150 acres near my house, and then I'm going to hunt public land this year with one of our buddies, Travis. We're going to try to kill a public land deer. We've never killed a deer on public land. Ducks, yes. Deer, no. It's not something I've ever wanted to do because I've always had private land.
Yeah.
And, it can be like incredibly intimidating. But where I was going was that, is like, we don't just like kill trophies every time. Like, we are the most average of average hunters of all time. But every year I renew my life. Well, I have a lifetime, but every year I'm going to go, like every single year, because I just love hunting. Like, my wife gets so pissed off. Like, not really, but like, I may go and kill no ducks. I'm going to wake up the next morning with that same intensity.
Fired up,
like,
mad at them.
I'm mad at every duck that ever flew. I got to kill them all, dude. Let's get them. Like, that's as cringe or as corny as this may be. And like, I know that you feel this way too, Nathan. I know Jacob does. Like, it's not what it's all about. Like, killing the biggest deer, killing, a limit of mallards or whatever is not what it's about. But if you get into the sport thinking that's what it is, you're going to be miserable the entire time you hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You're going to be miserable as if you think that I've got to go out here and I've got to kill a 160 class deer in order to post it on Instagram, then your life, that hunt is going to suck. It's most likely going to suck. Because like in your lifetime, you may kill one of those deer. You may kill 2 or 3 if you're just blessed with.
You may get the chance to see one.
You may get the chance to
Yeah.
see one. I saw one last year, at 70 yards, and I had my bow. I didn't bow hunt the rest of the year. I was pissed. I took my rifle in my bow. But, so I think that like that deters people, honestly. And that's why we go at it as the average outdoorsman perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I think it deters people when they're like, well, I'm never going to kill ducks like this dude. I'm never going to kill a deer like this dude. I don't have the money to do that. Like, you don't need money. Like, more than anything, like y'all are talking about, like, you need relationships. You need to just go and, as corny as it may be, like, just be kind to people.
Yeah,
like,
100%.
we went to the Delta Waterfowl, or no, you didn't go. Me and my buddy Jordan went Friday to the Delta Waterfowl Expo in Little Rock, Arkansas. We met with one of our sponsors, Dirty Duck Coffee, shout out. And while we were there, though, we just walked around, and there wasn't a single person there, no matter how big or small, that wouldn't just talk to you and just BS with you about hunting or outdoors.
Yeah, it's that shared passion that we all have that you can strike up a conversation. Like, that's why, like, here, like, you can just walk around, you can go to the store or supermarket, and you see someone wearing XYZ camo hat or a t-shirt, and you already know, like, cool, I can talk to this guy.
Right.
I know I can have something to relate with this person. You can strike up a conversation. That's the fun part about this space. That is something we all share. You have business owners, you have blue collar, you have the whole spectrum. But it's all that one thing that you can relate on, and it's just like, you feel like you're part of it's like a fraternity of some sort, or
people love
like that.
talking hunting.
Yeah,
like, they love talking. Like, talking about that. We were in Oklahoma once, and we struck out. Duck hunting, and we went to Bass Pro or Cabela's or something like that in Tulsa, and ran into a guy looking at duck calls, and I just randomly struck up a conversation with him, and he's like, "Hey man, take my number. If you guys come back up here, call me. I'll take you." And I was like, "Oh, I wish I would have had your number." Or,
yesterday
before I spent $600 on a hotel for a week,
right? Yeah,
$200 in gas. But I got his number on my phone still, and if I ever make it to Tulsa, I think his name is Chet.
Shout out Chet.
Shout out Chet.
Yeah.
Everyone needs a Chet.
Yeah,
everybody needs a Chet.
I think that's the thing too. And I think always you need a Chet. You need to be a Chet to someone.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what HuntWise can do for you.
We'll be your Chet.
That's right.
Yeah.
Big Chet guy.
Yeah.
Big Chet guy.
HuntWise
T-shirt right there.
Everyone's Chet.
Everyone's Chet.
I'm gonna make a T-shirt tonight that says "Be somebody's Chet," and I'm gonna wear it and just to have that conversation with people.
I hope that guy's name's Chet.
Yeah, I really hope so. He could be listening as like,
my name's John.
Tom.
Yeah. This moron.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't say everyone needs a John because that has different connotations. So
that's
still Chet. Even if his name's John, it's Chet.
Yeah, I like Chet. Chet's a cool name.
Yeah.
Well, Nathan, man, I appreciate it. Let's not let this be the last time, man. Let's talk maybe mid-season or after season and talk about. We'll tell you how much better hunters we are from HuntWise, and you can make fun of us for killing spikes.
I'll tell you all the deer I missed. How about that?
Yeah, all right. Sounds like a party.
Yeah, sounds like a riot.
All right, Nathan.
Appreciate you, man.
Nice to meet you.
Awesome.
Brother.
Great talking.
All right, so we just finished up recording with Nathan. I feel like that stepbrother scene, like, do we just become best friends?
100%.
Like, just a cool dude.
Yeah. I mean, I love, like we talked about in that interview, like just the camaraderie, the fellowship, the community of hunting. And what I took away from that was, not just that, but what I took away from, talking to Nathan was just how much more the app is. Like you said in the intro,
right?
When you first look at the app, you're just assuming it's just another hunting maps app, but there's more to it. And I think these guys are
not even that. It's a better map.
It's a better map.
He wouldn't even tell. All right, let's talk about it. I asked Nathan how his satellite images were better than everybody else's, and he didn't really want to talk about it.
He said we have our sources.
Didn't want to talk about it.
So is that like
Russia? I'm kidding. No.
The FBI.
The FBI. No,
but I thought that there's more to the app with the HuntCast and but I think those guys at HuntWise are doing a lot of cool things, and they're really trying to take their product to the next level, and
Right.
they're using a lot of data points, and they're trying to expand it to build the community and get all this information to make your hunts better. And
Correct.
I'm fired up about it. Like,
Yeah, not to like basically repeat the interview, but I am fired up that they're basically wanting the HuntWise app to be, be your hunting dad. Like, I know that's weird to say, be my dad, but
you're not my dad.
yeah, you're not my dad. Like, it's different, but that was a great point. So I'm excited about that. But moving on, our weekly segment,
The fan favorite.
Leaky Waiters. So if you're new to the show, Leaky Waiters is where me and Jacob or whoever's on with us, we basically talk about something that sucked from the past week. Let it be known that last week Jacob had such a good week. Was it? Yeah, it was last week. You didn't have a leaky waiter. Your only leaky waiter was that your wife was gone and then you were having to do stuff around the house.
Yeah, that sucked.
And that does suck.
That
but
does
like
suck.
your leaky waiter in a sense, like your wife was fired up. She was like, "Oh, you're so sweet. Like, congrats."
It must have been like a short week, and I
Yeah.
was home by myself,
Yeah.
so I didn't have anything to mess up.
Yeah.
You know, if I messed it up, like, it was
Yeah,
there.
it doesn't matter. It's just you. Wife doesn't get on to you for anything. So there you go.
Oh man, I thought I had one, and then now I'm starting to think of all just the. I went home,
You went to Michigan.
went to Michigan, went to my parents. You know, it's where I'm originally from. It's where my whole family lives. And so I only go, and they don't watch the show anyway, so I can. But I only go home once a year, maybe twice a year,
Right.
and there's only so much I can take.
Of your parents?
I mean, do you go to your dad's house or your mom's house for
I mean, I just got back
For
from
a
my
week at a
mom's.
time?
For a week at a time, no.
like? Do you stay over there for more
I don't
than
think
5
any
hours?
grown person. Yeah, but I don't think any grown person goes for weeks at a time unless they're like you and they live out of state.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. You're around people that you're not normally around. You're not at your house. You're not
Right. Yeah. You got to do whatever you had
Your
to do in
stuff's
school.
not
Yeah.
there.
Stuff that you had to change as soon as you got out of the house.
Yeah.
Like maybe you like throwing your socks a certain spot. Your mom doesn't let you. Well, as soon as you moved out, you threw the dirty towel somewhere.
My mom don't care what I do.
Okay. Whatever. So tell us about your leaky waiter.
So I talked about it a little bit in that interview with Nate, but I had a couple missteps in my flight choice.
Right.
Usually, so when back in the day, and I say like a couple years ago, I'm 6'5". I don't fit in the normal seat.
Right.
My knees to back of my butt ratio is very long.
Yes.
It's literally
knees to back of the butt ratio.
what I found out today it's the exact same size as the back of the seat in front of you to the front of your seat, back of your seat.
Yes.
That's literally my thigh length. I found that out today. I was literally touching both and going, there's no room in here. But anyway, so normally what I do, and this sounds terrible, it's almost embarrassing to say, but so what I usually do is I pay the regular price,
Yeah.
and then I show up just a little bit early, and I'm the guy that goes to the front of the counter when I show up and check in. But when I check in, I always go, do you have any exit row seats available? And sometimes they'll look at how big I am and go,
Right.
brother, you need a big seat.
Wow. Cheat code. We're
Yeah.
all full of cheat codes this episode.
Not a cheat code anymore. You're going to find out. So, or, since some of y'all know, but I'm in the military. So sometimes I do the old, when I get pulled over, I pull out my military ID on it.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, wrong. I'm just so used to pulling this one out. Then I slide it back in and grab my driver's license. But so
Thank you for your service.
But so when I, go to check in and
Right.
ask for a exit row seat, I'll usually slide that out. Oh, do you need my ID? And they'll look, and usually they'll go, oh yeah, and they'll go ahead and switch my seat and give me
Yeah.
an exit row. Whether that's because of my ID or because they see that I'm very large.
Right.
So I flew to. I didn't even ask, and leaving out of Shreveport to Dallas. It's a 45-minute flight. Like usually,
Good for you, man.
But look, when I got to Dallas, I was hurting. Like there is
That
no
whole 30-minute flight.
There
from
is
Shreveport to
no.
Dallas.
If you got somebody next to you, there's no way to get comfortable when
Right.
when your legs are touching the front, and then there's
I
somebody
can
next to
imagine at 5'8".
you can't lean. Like you cross it. You're trying to find out every combination of leg movement to get in the right spot. But anyway, so I get to Dallas and I'm literally hustling to the next gate because I'm trying to get there and listen, do you got one? And my wife's calling me and I'm stressed because I'm in pain. My back hurts, my legs hurt. So I get over there and very nice lady. I said, do y'all have any exit row seats? Well, I was still trying to, because I had my wallet in my bag and I'm still trying to pull it out to do that. But I was already at the counter, so I had to kind of like start talking before I can get in my routine.
Right.
And I go, do you have any exit row seats? I'm trying to get my ID out. And she goes, it'll be $49.99 for the upgrade. And I was like, finally get it. I go, what if I had one of these? It was like the most like I feel bad about doing it. Well, I felt bad about doing it.
Yeah.
And she kind of laughed and she goes, let me see. She's typing in some stuff. She goes, look, I can't give you the boarding pass, but I'm going to tell you this. The seat right behind you is an exit row seat.
It's empty.
And it's empty.
Okay.
So I'm like,
look at God.
Look, she's smiling at me. I go, you're the best. She goes, thank you. So when I go to get on, I scan my boarding pass and we look at each other and she smiles. She goes, thank you for your service. And I go, I really appreciate you.
Yeah.
We get on, and sounds terrible again, but I get to board first.
Yeah.
It's first class, and if you have a military ID, which low key is a huge, like if you're thinking about joining the military, do it just to get on the plane first.
10% off at Lowe's and Home Depot too.
That's right. But being able to get in your seat first and put your bag up, you're always going to have a spot for your carry-on, yada yada yada. So I sit down. And I'm like, I wonder how many other people in these exit rows. Another guy gets in, he sits, it's two rows, so 4 mini rows, 4 sides or whatever. One guy's in the corner opposite of me. And then a lady comes on and I can tell she looks at the seat in front and then she goes, meh, and she sits down there. And I go, don't you ruin this for me, lady. Don't you ruin this for me, lady.
Don't you do it.
So as all the passengers come on, I see the flight attendant. He walks back and he's looking at his like tablet thing, and he's looking, and I'm like, here we go. And he asks the lady, and she goes, oh yeah, I'm supposed to sit here, but I noticed nobody was sitting here. Is it all right if I sit here? He goes, no ma'am, that's an upgrade. We can't let you get a free upgrade or whatever, blah blah. I go, here we go. I'm like looking down. He goes, sir, excuse me, sir. I'm like, oh yes, what's up? And he goes, sir, what seat is your boarding pass? I go, it's 15A, but the lady at the front told me I can go ahead and sit in 16A. And he goes, the lady at the front, flight attendant or at the counter? And I said, the counter. And he goes, well, I'm going to have to call her.
Oh, my God.
I start gathering my stuff together. Here we go. But he told me that they don't do that anymore. Like you, so as I have to move, I have to move.
Yeah.
There is only one person in any exit row seat.
So they're all free.
They are open.
Come on. It could be like a Garth Brooks concert. And bring the people that are in the sucky seats down to the nice ones.
Right.
Just be nice.
You have to go, because I've sat in the exit row many a time.
Right.
Because I've done my move.
Right.
But who are you briefing?
That's what I'd say. Yeah. Who's there?
You have to like give a briefing to them and ask them if they're.
So they didn't do the briefing?
To the one guy?
He was just going to be there for every exit.
All of us getting out of that exit? Sir.
What airline is this?
American Airlines.
American, let them know. I'm a proud member. I have an American Airline credit card, something like that. I don't know.
But
we need to let them know.
It was
we
a
need
leaky
to
waiter because I had to sit. You
had to sit in your assigned seat. You have to.
No, I didn't. I had to sit in a regular seat, but but it's a 2.5 hour flight from Dallas to Detroit.
Yeah, you had to sit in your assigned seat.
No, he was nice. He goes, look, I understand she was trying to, be nice, and I appreciate your service too. But he said, what if I set you in your own row? So I had 3 seats, so I could kind of do whatever, But the leaky waiter was, I can no longer use that move. It sounds bad, but that was my move. I got first class going to Cancun on our honeymoon.
Look, right now what you're trying to do is
for the exit row.
Yeah, what you're doing right now is you're justifying it in your own head, and that's fine, but you're not going to change what I think. Your leaky waiter is that you tried to get a free seat, and instead of getting the best free seat, you got a better free seat.
No.
You didn't get the best one, but you got one that was better than yours.
Yeah, there was 3 people in that row.
All right, I'm done. I have an actual leaky waiter if you want to hear it. This is quite miserable, like doing this with you now, because at first you had some really crappy things, but now your life's great, man. Your life's just great. I need your life to. No, I'm not going to say that. Not going to say that. I need you to come next week with a legitimate leaky waiter like
I've had
me.
a couple, but that one. I'm not gonna lie. I was mad. I literally was sitting in my own row at that point. You know, there's
Upset.
people. If we crash,
Yeah, you don't know where you're going.
like nobody's gonna know how to get out of this exit row seat because
Yeah.
you didn't give them a briefing.
That's true. My leaky waiter went to the Delta Waterfowl Expo. That was great. It was a fantastic time. And I don't have that bad a one this week. I don't want to be negative this week. So went to, just kind of looked around, went to a booth with the guys from Canvasback Waterfowl. You should check those guys out. 2 really cool Texas A&M grad guys, just down-to-earth dudes. And they've got day jobs, but they have created this waiter that is a full-body waiter. So it's got your jacket and your bibs built in with obviously with the boot. It's a pretty cool concept. And so we're talking, and Jordan, who went with me, who's been on the show before, he asked the guy, he's like, can I try them on? He's like, absolutely. So he tries them on. I'm like, do you mind if I film for social? Absolutely. Do it, man. Go ahead. We have a great conversation. We talk. I actually take a picture of a vest, tell my wife to buy it for me for Christmas. It's a sick-looking vest. And we roll out. So I get home. I get home. I make a couple Instagram reels on Friday. Then I remember on Saturday, I'm like, I have that video of Jordan getting in the waders. So I get on Instagram for a while, TikTok. I finally find a sound to match it up with, and I do the Real Man of Genius. Classic. The Bud Light commercial. I put it on Instagram. Gets 7,000 views, whatever, some engagement. That's great. Getting their name out there. Felt good about it. Oh, look at me doing a nice thing. Didn't get anything in return. No promo code, nothing.
Free ad.
Yeah, it's a free ad, legitimately. And they're cool dudes, whatever. So then I just posted on TikTok too. And our stuff on TikTok lately, I think, has been getting shadow banned. I think that we've got some quality content that's not being liked somehow. But anyways, so I posted on TikTok. I don't even think about TikTok anymore. I go back to it not even an hour later, 100,000 views. Right now, I don't know what it is right now.
It's 450
Okay, 450,000 views.
in 28 hours.
Yeah. So
This is a leaky
congrats,
waiter?
my guys. Yeah, it's my leaky waiter because I don't have a promo code. I get emails. I get messages on Instagram. I didn't even know you could message on TikTok. Somehow some people are say hi to so-and-so. They're interested in your waiter. I don't know. I've been getting blown up about these waiters that aren't even mine. If I had a fraction of this company, obviously I'd be making a killing. Or if I just had a promo code that was KCO20, I get 10% off of every sale because 10% would be $100 because they're a $1,000 waiter. People are like, I'm going to buy right now. I'm like, I'm not making
And it wasn't
anything.
even it was literally a video of him just
Putting on the waiters.
just wearing them.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
Moving,
Yeah, acting like he was shooting and stuff. Yeah.
and then that was it.
Yeah, that was it. So
And it's almost at 500,000 views in a day.
And that's 10 times anything that Canvasback Waterfowl's put on their TikTok. Again, I'm not mad at those dudes. I hope they make a bajillion dollars, but I just hope they remember the little man, legitimately the little man that came and visited them.
That put one sound on.
They put one sound on a random video of his buddy, and it went viral. Boom, done. What's funny is people are commenting on there. It's full body waiter. The joke is when you're duck hunting, you fart. I'm gonna smell that one in a minute. That's gonna come up my waders. And everybody's like, oh, if you got full body waders on, you fart, man. What's gonna happen? I'm like, probably the same thing if you fart with clothes on, with clothes off, in waders, in the full it's gonna smell, it's gonna suck. And then somebody's like, what if you got to go number 2, bro? That's inconvenient anyways. In any type of wader, it's gonna feel like leaky waders if you don't take them off.
I was gonna tell it.
Don't tell it. Don't tell another story. So that's it. I know this was a long episode, but man, do we appreciate you guys and appreciate the the support from our sponsorships and just from our listeners and the texts and stuff, it makes me feel like a freaking $1,000,000 when I get a text and I'm like, hey, love the podcast episode. So keep, if you got my number, text me. We appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube, follow us on TikTok, Instagram, follow the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, do it all. Listen to a billion different times. Rate us. Tell us how average we are. Besides that, Jacob, you got anything?
No.
We're rolling out. Enjoyed it, guys. Go to church.